welcome back to The Casual Knitter. I am here today to talk to you about weaving in ends to your project. A lot of people are like, oh my god, I hate that. I don't. I actually enjoy it. So let me show you some fun ways to weave in your ends. It can be daunting if you have a large project because you are going to use multiple yarn balls, and obviously every time you do put a new one in or you connect a new one, you are going to have some strings that are hanging all over your project. This is what I'm currently working on. You probably have seen this on Instagram. This is a cardi coat that I'm creating. I have the other two pieces. One piece is done, one front, and the other front is almost done. I have like this much more to knit, and then I get to actually seam them together, which is another thing that we're going to talk about in a very soon video. So I'm going to make sure I record that as well. But yes, there's going to be ends to be woven in right here, as you can see. This is left long intentionally, just in case you're wondering why the heck this is so long. But this is going to be used to seam. So sometimes it's really smart to just leave the tails long, because then you don't have to attach another piece of yarn and weave in more ends. So try to minimize that as much as you can, because it does take a while. And again, for some people, it's just not as fun. I'm going to use my little trusty piece that I've used in previous videos today, because I am going to show you how you can weave in the ends on a stockinette side, but also on a side that looks like more like a garter stitch, which is what this would be, right? So there's a different way to weave them in and make sure that you can't see them. The reason we weave in ends is obviously so that they're not just hanging loose. Like when you have your finished piece, you don't want to have any of those strings just hanging out, but also to make sure that nothing is coming undone and everything is securely woven in, so that you can enjoy your piece and you don't have anything unraveling at any point. So let's get started. I'm going to move you over here like I always do and show you how this is done. Okay, let's start weaving in some ends. So first off, let me show you the different sizes of needles that you can use. So today I'm going to use this bigger one. It's blunt, which is nice. This one is a little bit sharper, but it also is a bit smaller. Sorry, you see that? Gosh, I hope that it's not too bad. Okay, here we go. So if you have cotton, you would probably use the smaller one, but I am working with a little bit of a thicker yarn here, so I'm just going to use this one because it's a lot easier to get the yarn through. All right, so here's my little trick to get especially the thick yarn through the loop here on your needle. So you place it on here like this, fold it over, and kind of hold it as pretty much as tight as you can. Then you pull it out, flip it to the side, and then you can just easily push it in. I remember when I was little and I was taught this, my mind was blown, because I would be trying to get it over here and it just wasn't working. Okay, let's do this. So you can see how your stitches are nicely laying this way and then again that way. Now I am just going to bring this yarn through here. This is your hang on, this is our cast off edge, this is our cast on edge. Yes, so we're going to go through here, and then we are just going to go with the stitch and just basically go underneath each one of these legs of your stitch and then pull it through. And there you already did one whole length, and this is pretty much all it takes for most projects. There it is. But to feel extra secure, you can just go ahead and do the same thing again here. And then pull it through, and carefully pull it through, not too tight. And then you kind of just wiggle it back and forth a little bit. And in this case, of course, it's a yarn that is the same color. So you can barely even see it. And that's it. And then you can, depending on which side is like your right side now, meaning which side is actually going to face out. So in other words, you can see here on my sweater, this is stockinette and then this is garter stitch, but this is the side that's facing outside of my garment. So if this was the outside facing one, I would weave this yarn into the back, right? And make sure that it's actually ending on the back side. So on this side, so that you can't see this little end right here. But then you just cut it off right here and you are good to go. So let's do the same thing on the other side. Here's another way. You know what? I need to cut this off. Okay, we are going to do the same thing again. Here we go. Now you're ready. And what you can also do, you can, if it's on the end, right? So right here we have it on the top, which is the cast off row. So it's like right at the end here. And then here we have it on the cast on row, which you could then just weave it in to the bottom right there. But it really depends on your project where you're actually going to weave these in. But it's not hard. It might be a little annoying because it's more like sewing than it's knitting, and I feel like most people either love sewing or love knitting, which means that people who love knitting don't really care for sewing that much. I may be wrong. I like both. So here you have it. Now I just pulled it off, but you can also always go back on and then maybe go around, you know, go backwards and go back through, and you cannot see it at all. I'm going to pull it back out, so bear with me for a second here. I'm going to find it. Here it is. And then I'm going to show you how you can also weave it in this way, okay? In case you're not at the edge. Let me show you what I mean by that. So when you have a longer piece, you will eventually have some ends that come out of the side of your project. So again, here we are at the edge, right, where I cast it off, but let's see. Oh, and on this side, there's only one more. So it must mean that they're on the other side. Here we go. So there are some right here in the middle. Okay. So there's no, I mean, I could weave it into this edge, but I'm going to be able to see this edge later in my project. So I'm just going to weave it into here on the wrong side of the project. And because I'm not quite sure which one is the wrong side right now, I'm not going to do it on this project, but I'm going to do it on our little test project here. When you have stockinette, it's pretty easy to see that this is the right side and this is the wrong facing side, but on something that looks literally the same, I'll have to look at my pattern to make sure that I'm not weaving it in on the side that's actually going to end up showing on the outside of my garment. If you have any questions about anything that I'm talking about, I highly recommend to just put it in the comments, or I invite you to ask the questions there. And obviously you can always ask me on my Instagram as well, because I may be saying things that you're like, what? Only because I've been doing this for such a long time. And I just don't want you to be left feeling like you did not get anything out of these videos. That's not what I'm making them for. Okay, so here we are on the back side right now. And this is actually almost easier, I think. You're just going straight into these little bubbles. Just like that. And then you go back up and around into the next row of bubbles. See if I can get it closer. Here. And don't ever pull it too tight so that nothing gets, you know, out of shape. And there we go. All done. You can go back and forth a couple more times if you want to, just to make sure it's really in there. But again, I think 2 times is just fine. And there you go. It's all done. I try to tie a knot at the very end. The way you do that is you just loop through the next one, pull it through, not all the way, so that you have this little loop left right here. And then hopefully my string is long enough now. You take your needle, go back through like you're tying a knot. And then you can just cut it off. And again, since this is the inside, it's not a big deal that it's not perfect looking here. Cut it off right there and you're good to go. That's it. Hope this was helpful for you to now know how to weave in your ends to any of the projects that you are making. So if it's a scarf, if it's a shirt, a sweater, you are going to have to weave in the ends, but it doesn't have to be annoying, it doesn't have to be boring or any of that. It's actually quite meditative in my opinion, and I enjoy it. A lot of people don't. So if you enjoyed this video and if this was helpful to you, please share it with your friends, subscribe to this channel below, and make sure you watch the previous videos so that there's maybe something in there that you need a refresher on, but you can definitely check it out to see what we've covered so far. If you ever have any questions, please feel free to send me a message on Instagram or on Facebook, and I will see you next time. Thanks so much for watching.